Welcome to that very second segment that we promised you, talking to the teenagers who have just graduated from high school and now going to college. Welcome to the DrStem show. And guess what, guys? Congratulations to you. I have once again my very good friend Andrele, who's going to help me talk to you guys, encourage you, empower you, and hopefully give you tips to maneuver through college as you go out into college. Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. It's really fun to be on this set.
Right? Okay, so now you're used to it, because I know the first day you came, you were like, okay, I don't know if I can do this. It's fun, right?
It is. And then I talk too much, so you have to keep me in control today.
Well, you know what? Talking too much. I remember when I started, doing speaking engagements, counseling, and doing the TV show, and going, wow, actually talking too much gets paid. So it's a good thing.
I'll remember that.
All right. So we're talking to teenagers.
Yes.
I know it's, one of the things that you're also passionate about. When we were preparing for it, you said a couple words that just like hit me in the stomach and said, oh, really? That's a really good tip.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I believe I said something to the effect that it's a new day, it's a new beginning, and it's new. It's a fresh start, and it's something I always want to encourage people to just be excited about. Yes. That it's something new that holds so much potential, and when we focus so much on the scary aspects of it, I think we don't really get to celebrate the possibilities involved in it.
Yes. Yes, and if you embrace this transition, because life is full of transitions, there will be one transition after another transition.
Absolutely.
And you have to embrace and go in it fearless and knowing that, you know what, no matter what.
Yes.
Is what I like, Lisa Nichols says, she even have a book that says no matter what.
Absolutely.
No matter what, then you fill in the blanks.
Yes.
And no matter what are you going to do? What are you going to, say, you know what, I don't care what happens, I'm going to get my degree, I'm going to have fun, because you can't forget having fun in college.
No. And life will become very short if you stop having fun.
That's true.
I think, sometimes as a child, we're anxious and ready to become adults.
Yeah. Oh.
And we think we know what being an adult looks like. And it's being very serious.
Yes.
And it's being, very, you have fun, but in an adult kind of way. Yeah. I was watching a show with my son, and there's a commercial that came up, or it was a song actually, and the kids were in the pool and they're singing a song and about how they have fun over the summer and they're in the pool all day. And then the song gets interrupted by the call that says adult time in the pool. And the kid said, but adults never have fun in the pool. And I just smiled because I knew exactly what they were trying to get at, that we take everything so serious.
That's true.
It is serious and it's important, but I think it's important for us to stay connected to that thing, that joie de vivre that kids have. So you're preparing to transition from high school into college, and there's a lot more responsibility on you. And you know what? It's given to you not because we want you to trip up, but because we know you're ready for it.
Yes.
So we wouldn't give it to you if you weren't ready for it.
Yes.
So there is more responsibility, but there's also this part of you that you need to nurture and keep alive, because that is what's going to sustain you and give you that strength as you're navigating in a new and foreign world.
Yeah. And I should say that I think one of the very first things that they can do, or if you're watching, that you can do, is not just to see yourself as a bachelor's degree in business person. See yourself as beyond that bachelor's degree. What do you want to do? Pick a company that you want to work for, and say, you know what, not only am I going to be a graduate, but I am going to be working for Ernst & Young, for an example.
Yes.
And when you are an Ernst & Young candidate, or a person that already sees yourself working for that, those 4 years will be a breeze.
Oh, they will. And they'll be very focused.
And they'll be so so focused because you already have this company. Don't pick just one company. Pick at least 2 or 3 companies that you say, you know what, if I get into one of these or both of them, I can make a choice of who I want to be. So I think to have that vision and to have that goal of where you go beyond your 4-year degree and just have a picture of it. You don't have to stress too much about it. Cut up a picture, put it on your wall in college and say, I see myself working for Ernest Young.
Yes.
In whatever position.
I think you know what else is great about that tip you're giving? Yeah. So it's that vision board. It sounds like a vision board almost. And you don't, if you know, sometimes vision boards can feel overwhelming. Yeah. But maybe you don't have to go that far. But having an image will allow you to stay focused. And we know college can become overwhelming. How many fraternities and how many sport teams you want to be a part of, and taking responsibility for your classes and getting there on time. That there could be a lot happening. That this vision that you're trying to invite them to create would help focus what you're there for. It's fun, but there's also the work, you know, that needs to be
There were
considered.
2 pictures that I used to have when I went to college. I had one picture where I took a picture of myself and then I cut up, you know, a cap, and then I taped it, you know, onto a picture and put a cap on myself so that, you know, with the gown, and I could see myself as a graduate. So I had that picture there. And then I also saw myself in private practice. So I cut up an office of a private practice with a couch, because I'm a counselor, a therapist, and then I put a chair there, and I could just envision, you know, being in there in a nice, quiet, surreal place and talking to the people as a therapist. So I was focused. Whenever it was hard and the assignments were difficult, I looked up, I'm like, oh, I still want to wear that gown. I still want to work for that. So that was tip number 1. Going into the difficulties that you were talking about, I think the first tip that we would tell them is to go to all the orientations that are going on at the college, right?
Absolutely. There is no shame in saying that you don't know. And to be able to find who to go to or where you can go within the institution is it speaks to resourcefulness. And I think it's important because that practice will be a tip that will, or a practice that will follow you, I think, in your life. And I think sometimes being able to own up to say, I'm not the expert in this arena, I'm going to explore and talk to an expert who can help guide me. And I think the orientations are that. They let you know who's on site. There's nothing worse, and I think I've missed out on so many opportunities that had I known when I was in college that there were certain resources, I don't know how different my life would be. I'm not complaining, and I'm not saying that I've missed out on a whole lot, but I can't help but wonder if I had known that there were certain resources available to me, what trajectory would I have taken, and how would it have impacted where I am today? So there are so many things available to you in college. It's almost like a mini world within the world.
You're right.
So learn that one.
And the thing about it is, so we're going to be giving you tips, you know, on and I'll continue to just pinch her and say, okay, enough of that one. Let's go to the next one. You know, that's what we'll do. But I think, you know, what we're trying to do as well is to let you know that as you go through these tips that we're sharing with you, once you learn them, they are going to teach you the transitions and how to get through life. Orientations going there, the first thing is be open to information that will be shared with you. The second thing I wanted to share with you, for those of you that are going to be staying on campus, get to know your roommates.
Oh, yes.
And the people that are in that pod where you're staying in there. Why is it important to know them?
Because I think sometimes we live a lot on assumptions, and you've lived in a home with people that you've known your whole life. And we believe, sometimes we make the mistake of believing that everybody functions the way we function. And then you get into the real world and you find out people do things very differently.
Very differently, you're right.
So it's very important to get to know who your roommate is so that you can get an understanding of how they function, what works for them. And if that doesn't work for you, how do you reach a compromise so that you can live together? I don't think being different means you can't live together. It means there needs to be some adjustments.
And guess what? Once they get to learn that adjustment, that's the same thing that they'll have to do with the team. When you get to a job, you have to learn the people in the job. When you get married or marry, you get to know your spouse and to know so I mean, there's a whole lot just by getting to know your roommate. So remember that. Get to know your roommate and all the people that are in the residence, as many as you can, but just be open to knowing them. The third thing that I wanted to share with them is getting organized. How important is getting organized?
It's very. And I have to, you know, disclaimer, I'm still trying to figure it out. So be graceful with yourself as you try to find what works for you.
I like that.
But a sense of organization is going to be crucial, because now you're coming into a place where you'll have different professors who will have different expectations.
You're right. You're right. You know what? We're going to have to make this one a little longer than the regular show that we do, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. We're talking to teenagers who are transitioning from high school into college. We're going to take another quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Like I said, we're talking to the teenagers today. Parents, pay attention as well, because you too can also emphasize some of the tips that we're sharing with you with my guest, Andrele, today. We were just talking about getting organized. Now, when you get into the college, please remember to find time to study and also a place. Maybe sometimes your room might not be the ideal place. You might want to find a different place that you can study, but studying is going to be very important.
Yes. It's the reason why we're there, right?
Oh,
and
that's true.
That's a little detail. We're there for that. That's the big part of it.
Yeah.
But I think the importance of investing, and that's just learning the practice to invest in yourself and in your craft.
That's true.
That's what studying is. It's dedicating time to what's important.
You're right. And I think the other thing is, you know, in middle school, they used to not have that much homework. And now they get into high school, they had a lot of homework and needed to study a little bit more.
Yes.
But in college now, studying is key because you have more papers than exams that you have to write, that you have to sit there and get focused and be able to write on your own.
Yes, and the information is layered.
That's
so
true.
what you learned Algebra 1, and that's going to inform Algebra 2. So there's this continual progression that's happening that you need to stay on top of.
You're right. So talking about that, how important is going to class?
Scale of 1 to 10.
10.
10. Yes.
Go to class. You have to attend. Because in college, most people, I mean, you know, the teachers usually don't take attendance like the way that it was done in high school. So people have a tendency to say, you know what, I partied last night and we had, you know, this meeting that I had last night, so I'm tired, I'm exhausted. But you have to go to class.
It's a slippery slope. You miss 1 and then 2 and then 3, and then you eventually start to get to the place of, well, I mean, if you're passing still too, you kind of start thinking it's not that serious. So yes, I encourage strongly attendance.
Yes. And when you get, the other tip is when you get that assignment, the syllabus, I remember they give you due dates. So most of the time, because now, as I say, they're papers, they will give you a due date that is 2 months away.
Yes.
You know, to bring in a paper.
Yes.
Do not wait until the paper is due. Guilty.
I am the person that believes in the quote, if it weren't for the last minute, nothing would ever get done. I think I work better under pressure. However, I want to strongly recommend to start to look at it prior. Set a timer, put it in your agenda prior, like maybe 1 month in advance, a reminder that this is due. So maybe you can start doing the research. At least you've gathered your
I was just
intel.
about to say, I would do last minute as well. But then what I used to do is I would research and just put the notes in on the side. Some I'm writing in a folder and I'm just putting it on so that when it's that last minute, I'm not researching and writing at the same time. So good point. Good point. Now, what about meeting with the professors? How important is that?
It's important.
And even getting to know the professors or having them know you.
Absolutely. One, you want to be known. Because if something happens and you do for any reason need to miss a class, you want to know that you have a relationship with your professor, that you can tell him what's going on, and there'd be a bit more understanding. But the bigger piece is, I think we make, again, that assumption that everybody is the same. Not all professors function the same. So if you can know your professor, you can have an understanding of what they need and want from you, and your grades will thank you for it.
Yes.
They will. And it's not about buttering up your professor, but it's understanding what they're looking for when they give you an assignment. So that's only something that you can get to understand better when you have a bit of a
You're
relationship.
right. I always tell the high school students, and they go, you know, I hate this teacher. I said, you know what? Your grades will reflect how much you really hate them.
Yes.
And I mean, they're human.
Sure.
And they're coming in to teach you something. They have certain expectations, and there's no two-way around it. You do what they expect you to do, and read what they're expecting you to read. Present the assignments as there. Most teachers find it very offensive for students that come into class when they feel like it, and then don't come in, and then present a paper that's supposed to be an A, and you get a B or a C just because you used to go, I'm not coming to your class because you're boring.
It does.
They
I do
feel
think it impacts your grades.
I do
you know,
think
you
so
don't want to
too.
believe that, but I do. And I think just one nugget I would want to tell every teenager out there is you don't have to like them. You just need to respect them.
To respect them, that's it,
And that'll follow you in many areas of your life. At work, you don't have to like everybody you work with, but there's this level of respect for yourself and for the individual in question and for what you're doing. If you can start practicing that, the emotions and ideas and thoughts you have of people won't cloud your vision of what you're trying to accomplish.
You're right, you're right. And how about seeking balance? Like seeking a balance, you know, to balance it out. How critical is that?
So it's critical, but I've heard it said, and I think I agree with it in this concept that, you know, balance is almost a myth. This idea that we can get everything perfectly aligned where your private life will have this amount of time and your family will get it. I think it's a myth, and if you try to get that and find yourself keep missing the mark, I think it'll only frustrate you. I think it's important for you to be able to gauge your situation. So right now I'm in midterms. That means I have to tell mom, whereas I normally speak to you for an hour, this week I need a little less time so I can focus a bit more on my studies, knowing that you will be able to compensate back again once you're done your midterms. It'll bring back the equilibrium. It's important to gauge the time you're in, the circumstances, so you can know how much time to devote to different things. And that's what balance looks like for me.
You're right. And when I hear that too, for balancing, for me, I'm also going to emphasize that, you know what, do not negate knowing who your academic advisor is, because they can help you with that balancing. Find out who the academic advisor is. They have a lot on their plate. I understand that, and they might not have a lot of time for you. But if you're one of those students that go in and just ask for that help, and you go in and follow through with what they're talking about, it will really help you out. But there's also a counseling center that is at the, in the schools that most people do not utilize.
No. And I wonder if we don't utilize it because there's this idea behind anybody who has to go to counseling, they have huge issues. And I want to say, needing a bit of help and somebody to talk to process certain things is not a sign of weakness, but it's actually a sign of maturity and wisdom to be able to recognize when you do need that support. They're there. It's free.
It's right.
It's free. Right? Well, it's not free because you're paying for college.
You're paying for college.
But
that's true.
But it's free and it's available to you. Definitely utilize that.
And you can do one-on-one, and you can also go in groups, because then they have certain groups that are there that, just talk about transitioning, they talk about depression, they talk about anxiety of just being afraid, to do everything, and because then culturally, with some people, they'll find that there will be things there that you think, I've never been told to do this, and I've never done this. Those counseling groups help process and bring everything to the center to balance it all out.
Yes.
Because you don't have to do everything.
And it makes you not realize that you're not alone.
You're not alone. I like that too. I like that too. Now, how about getting involved in the in events, groups, and I wasn't that much involved in college.
I wonder if it's cultural.
Right? I wasn't.
We didn't have time, and it was you go to school and you come back home. You go to school and you come back home. And now as I'm, applying for jobs and positions, I wish I could say I had a fraternity I was connected with.
Yeah, I wish I had.
So I do think it's important because also it provides you with a sense of community.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
That's true. That's true. And then the other thing that I wanted to probably advise them, because some of them still have people that they were dating in high school, and they're going to be going away from home and leaving their loved ones, and it's going to hurt. And they might not go to the same college, and this probably could be a goodbye.
It may be. It may be, and it's okay. I think my bigger concern is if somebody were to say they wouldn't accept, if you got accepted to Harvard and you said you're not going to go because you don't want to leave Johnny.
Yep, they do that.
No.
They do that.
No.
They're afraid that if I go to Harvard, then I'm going to miss him, and then we break up, and then he's going to be going with somebody else. And
I don't want to be insensitive. I don't want to seem insensitive.
Me neither.
Right?
But
it's a hard decision, but I promise you, if Johnny is who is for you, Johnny and you will work through the challenges that will happen. So for you to turn down a great opportunity for the fear of what possibly could happen, oh no.
So the advice is, don't go breaking up with your girlfriend or boyfriend and say, you know what, I just heard that if I don't break up with you, you're still going to go out with somebody anyway. Don't break up.
No.
If things are going well, but just don't, forego an opportunity, a great college that you can go and attend just because you're in a relationship. Let it all work out. It will work itself out. How? You'll find out.
Yes. That's life. That's the beauty of life.
That's the beauty.
There's no sure thing. And it's just about walking it through.
You're right. How important is making time for you when you're in college? Making time for yourself.
I'm going to go into the place of, if I knew then what I know now. I'm definitely no longer in college. I completed my graduate. I'm now a parent. And because I never practiced that, now as a parent with a gig, I call it a gig that's 24/7, because I never practiced that, it's really hard for me to find time for myself. So I think it's a practice you need to develop personally, because it will follow you in other areas of your life, and it is priceless. You are only good to people as much as you are good to yourself. So I think it's crucial.
And the other thing that you also have to remember, with that is when you take time for yourself, not to feel guilty.
Oh, yes.
And not be afraid to say no, because there will be a lot of temptations to do stuff, to go to places that sometimes your gut, your heart is just saying, why am I feeling this way? I don't feel like I want to go or I want to do this here. Go with the gut. And say no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also just understand that sometimes your gut is responding in fear and trying to get you to stop doing what your potential could show you to do. But sometimes your gut is telling you that very thing that you said, that no,
maybe not.
That's not a yes that I need to do. And being able to kind of pay attention to those pieces.
Procrastination. I don't even know why they.
I already told you I procrastinate, so I don't want to talk about this again. We all suffer with procrastination in one area or the other. It's recognizing that area where you tend to do it. So you can be proactive a bit about it, because there are going to be areas that you don't care for. You just need to be aware of it, and if you're aware of it, then you can work around it.
But I tell you something. If I do stuff or work in college, if I did it earlier and knew that my paper was done a month before or a week before, I was happier. I didn't have to stress. I didn't have to run around and figure out, am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? It felt good. Acting on it. So again, just like I said in the earlier segment, we were talking about fear, and saying action and planning are the two key things that will get you over fear and procrastination, I think.
Because I wonder if you're kind of almost, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You keep saying, I can't do it, or I'm not good at it, so you continue to practice things that demonstrate that. versus actually doing the opposite that will prove to you that you actually have it within you. It's about maybe trying to quiet the voices that want to tell you otherwise and challenge yourself so you can really see yourself.
Yeah, you're right. And the reason why we're doing all this as well is so that because you're going to be so overwhelmed. Right now, this month of May, June, July, celebrate. Celebrate, have fun, and you know what, reward yourself for having accomplished what you've accomplished going, through high school. It was really difficult, and I think that's the most difficult part of your school years that you've gone over. And if you can overcome being in high school, college, you can learn this stuff here. So we are talking about the tips so that you wouldn't, be way too overwhelmed. The career office. Remember, there's a career office on campus, on each campus.
Yes.
How important was that to find it?
So I never found it.
Oh, you know.
I never found it. You find other ways to try to figure out if you aren't lucky to do it.
Right.
But I do think if you can expose yourself, if all you've ever heard about was nursing or doctors or engineers, you don't know that there are pharmacists out there who make really good money, by the way. Or, there's chemists. There's so many different
dentists, and teachers, and that can make a lot of money. Coaching, life coaches, career coaches.
Go and find out. Have a chat with someone in the career division so you can just get exposure to other things, because that thing you do so well that you don't consider because it doesn't fall under nursing or engineering could be your career. So maybe talking to someone who can expose you to what's out there will give you a sense of more options.
You're right. And then at the career office itself, they also have tests that you can take to determine where your strengths are and what you would love doing. I mean, happy tests, they have tests for being happy and grateful in a different career. I mean, explore all that, because the money that you're paying, that you will be paying back, right, is to help you explore and find out the things that you will love doing after college. So have fun at it, find out what every place is for, but that career service will help you determine your degree, because when you get in, I think most of us just took electives.
Yes.
You don't declare your major in the first year. Ideally, right? So then, you know what, this is the time to go to that career office and take all those tests and explore, so that when you do have to declare your major, you already have at least enough information.
Yes, and you want to go at it from your strength. Don't go at it from the area where you're trying to make improvements. Look at where you're strong, and those tests that DrStem is speaking about, I promise you they cost money when you get out of college.
Oh, they will.
So do them while you're in college. They're under that tuition umbrella. So get them done and find out what your strength is so you can build on your strength.
You're right. You're right. I mean, the coaching that you get there, that's the career coaching that is now, will cost you $500 for half an hour to talk to a career coach, a life coach. And one thing that I was told in undergrad, in grad school, was don't choose that career in social work, because then, you know what, you're not going to make money. Wherever your heart takes you, you definitely can and will make money in it. So that way is a myth. Don't believe in that. You know what? Guess what? Time again.
Again?
Time again.
Did I do it again?
Yes, we did it again.
Okay.
We did it again. We're out of time. So I think what we'll do is, you know what? We are going to write out all the tips for you and, provide it in a PDF format that, anybody who can contact me at DrStem14@gmail.com. That is DrStem14@gmail.com. I'll be able to send you those tips for those of you that are going from high school into college. If you're a parent, you can write it in for them and then, give it to them as a gift. You can literally frame it and have them put it in their dormitory, in their room, so that they can remember some of these tips as they go through college. Girlfriend, it's been real.
And it's been lovely.
Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for having
One word you got to say to them, little babies?
I just want to say, have fun. Life is only beginning, and it's only as good as you choose to look at it. So have fun in the process.
Wow, I got to always top her off. You have an opportunity each and every moment to make that moment better than the moment before. Guess what? Each day can also be better than the day that you had before. Have fun. God bless. And hopefully I can get to hear from all of you that you have graduated from college. Thank you for watching the DrStem Show.